have to smack him with a Colt. Yeah. Boys got Juggernaut. Oh,
That's lame.
hungry.
He must hate his life then.
I'm almost out of ammo.
What level are you?
Well, if you don't get there's somebody under there.
Somebody call
Got somebody?
911. Remember that song?
Get over here so I can Colt
Right.
it.
Okay, once someone gets in the stream, I'm gonna start the intro.
Got him.
Velo.
Ooh, that's a grenade.
Yeah, I
What?
got you.
Alright, cool. Hello there, and welcome to the ASMR reading of Mein Kampf. Today, the reader will be Alfonso Moja, and or as you know him, Velo18. Would you like to take it away, Velo?
You. Hey, and welcome to my ASMR reading of Mein Kampf by, Chapter 1. In the home of my parents. It has turned out fortunate for me today that destiny appointed to Brunel on the Inn to be my birthplace. For that, just on the frontier between those two states, the reunion of which seems, at least to us of the younger generation, a task to which we should devote our lives, and in the pursuit of which every possible means should be employed. German Austria must be restored to the great German motherland, and not indeed on any grounds of economic calculation whatsoever. No, no. Even if the Union were a matter of economic indifference, and even if it were to be disadvantageous from the economic standpoint, still it ought to take place. People of the same blood should be in the same Reich. The German people will have no rights to engage in a colonial policy until they shall have brought all their children together in the one state. When the territory of the Reich embraces Germans and finds itself unstable to assure them a livelihood, only then can the moral right arise from the need of the people to acquire foreign territory. The plow is then the sword, and the tears of war will produce it. And so this little frontier town is a task, but in another regard it also applicable to our day. Over 100 was the scene of a tragic calamity. The whole German nation, and will be remembered forever, at least in the annals of German history. At the time of our fatherland's deepest humiliation, a bookseller, Johannes, compromising nationalist, and the enemy of the French, was put to death here because he had misfortune to have loved Germany well. He obstinately refused to disclose the names of his associates, or rather the principals who were chiefly responsible for the affair. Leo Schleicher, the former, like the latter, was denounced to the French by a German agent. It was a director of police from Augsburg who won the inaugural renown on that occasion, and set the example which was to be copied to a later date by neo-German officials of the Reich under Herr Seving's regime. In this little town on the Inn, hallowed by the memory of the German martyr, a town that was Bavarian by blood, but under the rule of the Austrian state, my parents were domiciled towards the end of the last century. My father was a civil servant who fulfilled his duties very consistently. My mother looked after the household and lovingly devoted herself to the care of her children. From that period, I've not retained very much in my memory, because after a few years, my father left that frontier town, which I had come to love so much, and take up a new post farther down on the Valley of Passau, actually in Germany itself. In those days, it was usual lot of an Austrian civil servant to be transferred periodically from one post to another. Not long after coming to Passau, my father Linz, and while he retired finally to live on his pension, but this did not mean that the old gentleman would now rest from his labors. He was the son of a, and while still a boy, he grew restless and left home when he was barely 13 years old. He buckled on his satchel and set forth from his native woodland parish. Despite this dissuasion of villagers who could speak from the experience, he went from Vienna to learn the trades there. This was in the 15th year of the last century. It was a sore trial, that of deciding to leave the home and face the unknown with 3 gold in his pocket. By when the boy of 13 was a lad of 17, and he passed his apprenticeship examination as a craftsman. He was not content. Economic depression of that period and the constant want and misery strengthened his resolution to give up working at the trade and strive for something higher. As a boy, it had seemed to him that the position of the parish priest in his native village was the highest in the scale of human attainment. But now that the big city have enlarged his outlook, the young man to the dignity of a state official as the highest of all, visited made old. When only halfway through his youth, the young man of 17 obstinately set out on his new project and stuck to it until he won through. He was about 23 years old when he succeeded in making himself what he had resolved to become. Thus, he was able to fulfill the promise he had made as a poor boy not to return his. He was somebody. He had gained his end, but in the village there was nobody who had remembered him as a little boy, and the village itself had become strange to him. Now, at last, when he was 56 years old, he gave up on his active career, but he could not bear to be idle for a single day. Small market town of Lambach in he bought a farm and tilled it himself. Thus, at the end of a long and hard-working, he came back to the life which his father had led. It was at this period that I began to have ideals of my own. I spent a good deal of time scampering out in the open, on the long road from school, and mixing up with some of the roughest of the boys, which caused my mother many anxious moments. All this tended to make me something quite the reverse of stay at home. I gave scarcely any serious thought to the question of choosing a vocation in life, but I was certainly quite out of sympathy with the kind of career which my father had allowed. I think to develop and take shape during the more or less strenuous which I used to have my comrades. I had become a juvenile ringleader who fell in his year at school, but was rather difficult to manage in my free time. I practiced singing in the choir church at Lambach, and thus it happened that I was positioned to be emotionally impressed again and again by the magnificent splendor of a celestial ceremonial. What could be more natural for me than to look upon the abode its highest human ideal was striving for? Just as the position of the humble village priest had appeared to my father as his own boyhood days. At least that was my idea for a while. The dispute I had with my father did not lead him to appreciate their son. in such a way as to seize him in a favorable promise for such a career, and so he naturally could not understand the boyish idea I had in my head at the time. This contradiction in my anxious, that transitory yearning of such a vocation soon gave way to hopes that were better borrowing through my father's books. Browsing, I had chanced to come across some publications that dealt with military subjects. One of these publications of the Franco-German War of 1870 to 1871. It was consisted of 2 volumes of an illustrated periodical dating from those years. These became my favorite reading in a little while. That great and heroic conflict began to take first in my mind. And from that time onwards, I became more and more enthusiastic about everything that was in any way connected with war or military affairs. But this story of the Franco-German War had a special significance for me on other grounds also. For the first time, and as yet only in quite a vague way, the question began to present itself. Is there a difference? And if there be, what is it? Between the Germans who fought that war and the other Germans? Why did not Austria also take part in it? Why did not my father and all the others fight in that struggle? Are they not the same together? That was the first time that this problem began to agitate my small brain. And from the replies that were given to the questions which I asked very tenaciously, I was forced to accept the fact, though with a secret envy, not all Germans had the good luck to belong to Bismarck's empire. This was something that I could not understand. It was decided that I should study, considering my character as a whole, and especially my temperament. My father decided that the classical subjects studied at the Lyceum were not suited to my natural talents. He thought that the Realschule would suit me better. My obvious talent for drawing could sit him in that view, for in his opinion, drawing neglected in the Austrian Gymnasium. Probably also the memory of the hard which he himself, if traveled, contributed to make him look upon classical studies as unpractical and accordingly to set little value on them. At the back of his mind, he had the idea that his son also should become an official of the government. Indeed, he had decided on that career for me. The difficulties, though, which he had to struggle in making his own career led him to overestimate what he had achieved, because this was exclusively the result of his own indefatigable and energy. The characteristic pride of the self-made man was the idea that his son should follow the same calling and, as if possible, rise to a higher position. Moreover, this idea was strengthened by the consideration that the results of his own life put him in a position to facilitate in his son's advancement in the same career. He was simply incapable of imagining that I might reject what had meant everything in life to him. My father's decision was simple, define, clear, and, in his eyes, it was something to be taken for granted. A man of such a nature, who had become an autocrat by reason of his own hot struggle for existence, could not think of allowing inexperienced and irresponsible young fellows to choose their own careers, to act in such a way, where the future of his own would have been a grave and reprehensible weakness. Authority and responsibility, something utterly incompatible with his characteristic sense of duty. And yet it had to be done. First time in my life, I was then 11 years old. Myself forced into open opposition. No matter how hard and determined my father might be about putting his own plans, his son was no less obstinate and refused to accept ideas on which he set little or no value. I would not become a civil servant. No amount of persuasion and no means could break down that opposition. I act on any account. Or me a love or liking for that profession by picturing his own career. Only the opposite effect. It nauseated me to think that one day I might be fettered into an office stool, both my own time, but would be forced to spend the whole time of my life filling out forms. One can imagine such a prospect awakened in the mind of a young fellow means what is called a good boy. In that term, the ridiculously easy school tasks which were given made it possible for me to then at home today, prying through my life with diligent scrutiny as far back as the days of my boyhood, so as finally to be able to prove that this respectable tricks this Hitler was accustomed to his young days. I thank heaven that I can look back on those happy days and find the memory of them helpful. The fields and the woods were then the terrain on which all disputes were fought out. Even attendance at the Realschule could not alter my way of speaking my time, but I had now another battle to fight. So as long as the pattern of plan to make a state functionary contradicted my own inclinations, only in abstract, the conflict was easy to hear. I could be discreet about expressing my own personal views and thus avoid constantly recurrent disputes. My own resolution not to become a government official was sufficient for the time being to put my mind completely at rest. Had a positive plan on my own, which I might represent to my father as a counter suggestion. This happened when I was 12 years old. How it came about I cannot. But one day it became clear to me that I would be a painter. I mean artist. That I had an aptitude for drawing was an admitted fact. It was even one of those reasons why my father had me sure, but he had never thought of having that talent developed in such a way that I could take up painting as a profession. The contrary, when as a result of my refusal to adopt his favorable plan, my father asked me, for the first time, what I myself really wished to be. The resolution that I had already formed expressed itself almost automatically. For a while my father was speechless. A painter? An artist painter? He exclaimed. He thought that he might not have caught my words rightly, or that he had misunderstood what I meant. But when I had explained and he saw how seriously I took them, he opposed them. Determination, which was characteristics of him. His decision was exceedingly simple. He could not be deflected from its course of what my own natural qualifications really were. As long as I live, never as the son had inherited some of the father's obstinacy, besides having other qualities of his own, my reply something quite the contrary, and that the struggle became stalemate. My father, the father would not abandon his validated and my nevertheless. Naturally, the resulting situation was not pleasant. My deed so hopes of taking up the art of painting as a profession. I went a step further and declared that I would not study anything else. With such declarations became still more strained, so that the old gentleman decided to assert his parental authority at all costs. That led me to adopt an attitude of silence. But I put my threat into execution. I thought that once it became clear to my father I was making no progress at the Realschule, for weal or for woe, he would be to follow the happy career I had dreamed of. I do not know whether I calculated right, but certainly my failure to make me progress became quite visible in the school. I studied just the subjects that appealed to me, especially those which I thought might be of advantage to me later on, but they did not appear to have any importance from this point of view, or what did not otherwise appeal to me favorably. I completely sabotaged. My school's reports of that time were always in the extremes of good or bad, according to the subject and the interest it had for me. In one column, very good or excellent. In another, it read average or even below average. By far, my best subjects were more so general history. These were my two favorite subjects, and I led the class in them. When I took back over so many years to try and judge the results of that experience, I find two very significant facts standing out clearly. First, I became a nationalist. Second, I learned to understand the old Austria was a multinational state. In those days, at least the citizens of the German Empire, taken through and through, could not understand what that fact meant in the everyday life within such a state. After the magnificent triumphant march of the victorious armies in the Franco-German War, the Germans in the Reich became steadily more and more entrenched from the Germans beyond
Alright,
the
let's see.
frontiers, partly because they did not
Oh, so he's like camping right
deign
there. Hold on. I
to
got the spot
appreciate
flyer.
those
Just
other
watch out.
Germans at their true value,
Ooh.
or because
I spotted him.
they
He's
were
right there. He's behind the
incapable
tank.
of
He's behind the
doing
tank.
so.
Watch out.
The
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Germans
Oh
of
shit.
the Reich
Damn.
did not realize that if the Germans
Oh, I
of
think you still have time to
Austria
revive me.
had not
He's
been
chilling over there. Oh,
of
never
the
mind. Oh, god
best
damn it.
racial
There's like three
stock,
people behind
they
him.
could never have given the
He
stamp
has.
of their own
Okay, come
character
on.
to
Come
an
on, come on, come on. You
empire
still revive me.
over
Come on.
52 millions. So
Oh,
definitely
damn it.
that in Germany
Dude,
itself,
he was
the
right there
idea
too. He's just
arose
camping in
to
front of
quite
everybody. He's a
an
hell wriggle,
erroneous
so you know what
one
you
that
expect.
Austria was a German state, that it was an error
Hell wriggle's
which
the most
led to
overpowered weapon
dire
in this game
consequences.
entirely. So you
But
know
all that
you ain't
time,
escaping that if
it
anyone
was a
has it. So
magnificent
it's best to
testimony to
just
the character
try and
of the
die.
10
Not
million
try and die, but just
Germans
like
in
try
that
and just
East
give up. You're not
Mark.
escaping the hell wriggle.
Only very few of
So
the
much Kenny Henry,
Germans
you're
in
not
the
escaping that
Reich
shit any day soon.
had an idea of the bitter struggle in which those Eastern Germans had to carry on daily for the preservation of their German language, their German schools, and their German character.
It should be
Only
right there.
today, when a tragic
Well, okay,
fate
I'm going
has
as a
torn
as a
several
scout. I got
millions
the
of our
Martini Henry out.
kinsfolk away
Got my
from the
dang
light
calibre, you
and
know what
has
I'm
forced them to
saying?
live
Best
under
pistol,
the
or
rule
most
of the
most are about to get
stranger,
in the game.
dreaming of that common
Okay,
fatherland
so
towards which
go
all
medic
their
if you
yearnings
can,
are
because I'm
directed
expecting
and
to
struggling
be
to uphold at least the
running in there,
sacred
but I'm just
rights
gonna
of
chill in the
using their
back right now, just
mother's
because there's a lot of
tongue
them that's coming.
only.
Oh yeah, there's
Have the
like
wider
5 of them
circles
right
of
out
the
there. Okay,
German population
we should
come to
go. I'm
realize
gonna
that the
run this
means to have
way.
to fight for the traditions of one's
Spot fire down
race.
that way.
And so,
Let's see, let's
at
see. Oh, there's a
last,
tank, there's a tank, there's a tank. Watch
perhaps,
out, watch out.
there are people here
There's a guy
and
behind
there
this rock.
who can
Oh, what the? That
access
was
the
that was a headshot for sure.
greatness
I
of
ain't
that
denying it.
German spirit
That was
which
a headshot.
animated the Old East mark
Come on, come on, come on.
and enabled those
Oh, there's like
people
9 people right
left
there. Watch out.
entirely dependent on their own resources
Do we have
to
do we have
defend
a
the
support on the team?
empire
Because I
against
could
the
release some ammo.
Orient for several centuries, and
No, okay,
subsequently
damn it.
to hold fast the frontiers of the German
So there we need ammo.
language
I just need
through
more
a
gas.
guerrilla warfare
Oh
of
god.
tradition
Oh,
and
90
attrition.
damage.
At
Damn
the
it.
time when the German Empire was
I'm just gonna no, you don't revive me.
cultivating
Yeah,
an
I'm alright.
interest for colonies, but not for its own flesh and blood before the threshold of its own door. What has happened always and everywhere,
Oh!
every
Someone
kind of
revive me!
struggle,
Damn it, I wasn't paying
happened
attention.
also with the
Oh
language
shit.
fight,
Okay.
which was carried on in the old Austria. There were 3 groups: the fighters, the hedgers, and the traitors. Even in the schools,
There's another medic, but I
this
don't think he can revive me
sifting
though.
already began to
I don't think
take
he can now.
place, and it is worth noting that the struggle for the language was waged, perhaps in its bitterness, from around the school, because this was the nursery, where the seeds had to be watered, which were to spring up and form the future generation. The tactical objective of the fight was the winning over the child, and it was the child that the first rallying cry was addressed. German youth, do not forget that you are German, and remember, little girl, that one day you must be a German mother. Those who know something of the juvenile spirit can understand how youth will always lend a glad ear to such a rallying cry. Under many forms, the young people led the struggle, fighting their own way and with their own weapons.
I'm respawning right now. I was checking your message. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what are you going
Young
as right
people
now?
led.
Going as
They
assault. Okay,
refused
you
to
know, I think I'm
sing
gonna
on
stay scout because I'm still
the
trying to get
greater
this
the
guy
efforts
out.
made to win them away from the German
All right,
allegiance.
they're at B
The
right now,
more they
so
exalted the
just stay
glory
back. Yeah,
of their German heroes,
capturing
they
just a button. Okay.
scented
Let's see. We have
themselves
the.
in buying
Oh
things to
no 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 no
eat,
no! Do
so
not
that they
shoot me
might
today,
spare
please.
their
Oh god!
pennies
Oh god! Oh god!
to help of
Fucking
all
hell!
chest of their
He's
eldest
killed me
sons.
7 times in a
They were
row.
incredibly alert on the significance of what the non-German teachers
In
said,
a row.
and they contradicted in unison. They wore the forbidden emblems of their own kinsfolk, and were happily, when penalized for doing so, or even physically punished. In miniature, they were mirrors of loyalty from which
Nice.
the older people might learn a lesson. And thus, it was that at comparatively early age I took part in the struggle which the nationalities were waging against one another in the old Austria, when meetings were held for the Southmark German League, and the School League were more cornflowers,
Alright,
and
I
the
got 3
black,
kills from
red,
that.
gold
Nice.
colors to express
Okay. Oh,
our
oh, damn! I'm getting shot.
loyalty.
Getting shot. Getting shot. Getting
We
shot.
greeted one another
Okay.
with
Hold on, I get to take
Heil,
it away. Go on.
and instead
You're outside. Okay.
of the
Okay. I'm
Austrian
gonna.
anthem,
Ooh,
we
I'm gonna
sang
jump
our
over this
own,
building. No, wait, jump. I'm gonna go to the
Deutschland
building
über alles.
and see if you can bring a med
Despite
pack to me because
warnings and
I am like 1
penalties,
health right
thus
now.
the youth were educated
Oh.
politically at a time
Oh, come on, come on, come
when
on.
the citizens of a so-called national
Fuck, fuck.
state,
Go, no, 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 no.
for
Damn
the
it, damn it,
most
damn it, damn it,
part,
damn it.
knew
Oh, he
little of
got
their
me
own
too.
nationality, except the language, of course. I did not belong to those hedges. Within a little while, I had to become an ardent German national, which has a different meaning from the party's significance attached to that phrase today.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, there's like 3 guys outside.
I developed
Oh,
very
take.
rapidly in the nationalist direction.
Damn it.
By the time I was
Damn it, damn it,
15
damn it.
years old, I had to come to understand the distinction between dynastic patriotism and nationalism, based on the concept of folk or people, my inclination being entirely in favor of the latter. Such a preference
Oh,
may not
jeez.
perhaps be
Okay,
clearly
spot fly down that way. You
intelligible
need a spot fly.
to
Alright, shut it,
those
shut it,
who
shut
have
it.
never
There's like
taken
9
the
people shooting
trouble to
me.
study the
Throwing a gas
internal
grenade, watch out. You want to get out of there. Oh,
the Habsburg
9 people over there
monarchy.
again.
Among
Someone
its
take the. There's literally
historical
nobody. Someone to
studies,
take B right
universal
now. We were
history
capturing it before,
was
but
the
now they're like,
subject
no,
was
we're just gonna
exclusively
take
taught in
B.
Austrian schools. Full of specific Austrian history, there was only little. The fate of this state was closely bound up with the existence and development of Germany as a whole. So a division of history into German history and Austrian history practically inconceivable, and indeed it was only came to be divided between two states that this division of German history began to take place.
Alfonso Maja, you may take
Insignia,
a quick break. Intermission. We have someone in the chat saying, someone named Sir Busa saying, hello.
Sir.
Hello, Mr. Busa. Welcome to the
Hi,
ASMR
Sir
reading.
Booster, you are
Welcome to the ASMR reading of.
alive, good sir.
Welcome to the ASMR reading of Mein Kampf. We are just taking a little intermission break. So, enjoy. You may continue whenever ready.
Oh boy. Yeah, enjoy. Just let me take a quick.
I should just title this the ASMR reading of the Mein Kampf.
You should. Oh my god. All right. So who's here?
There's 4
'Cause we
people in
got
here.
5 people in here.
Yeah, 5.
Oh, 3 of them now.
Time wanting to rip.
Time wanting to Nico.
What?
He says, "Oh yeah, boy." All right, continue when ready. We're just chilling, you know, playing Battlefield 1. It matches, you know, World War One. Hitler was a soldier in World War One, you know.
Yep. And until he got shot in the testicles and got gassed, and
Yeah, until he gassed himself
Yeah.
and shot himself in the face.
so it kind of relates to it and what we're doing because
Yeah.
From where I'm at right now, it's talking about his fucked up childhood.
Dude, that's so funny. Like when he's like, I want to be a painter. I mean, artist. And my father wasn't accepting of it. That was too funny. I've already got.
No shit that we are fucking reading this.
I just chilling in the background.
What? What?
This guy says, I've already got all the new level 10 guns. I just hate the Martini sniper though. Yeah, I'm just grinding to get that shit done. Like honestly, it's just such a hassle. Cause you gotta get 25 bayonet kills and you gotta get 300 regular kills, which 300 kills with a regular sniper is tough enough. But when you gotta get 300 of it, yeah, you know, it's gonna take some time. Alright, so really, you may start whenever ready. Just feel free to cut me off while we're starting to read. Oh shit, there's like 9 people.
Take a few more sips.
This is like the best stream ever done. Hold on, I'm just gonna title it the ASMR reading. Hold on.
So I go. Why?
Are you okay there, Nico? Jesus, dude, he's like, why? Why me?
No, because like this person is modding. Like they have like
Modding. Okay, that makes sense now. Wait a minute. I didn't know what I had here.
at point blank range.
I am ready to continue with this dank meme.
Alright, hold on, wait, hold on. Let me just title the stream the the ASMR reading of Mein Kampf.
I'm ready.
Mein Kampf, Mein Kampf, my lovely lady.
Man, if only Graham was here, I would enjoy it.
That'd be too funny, you know, right?
I know.
Oh my god, dude, why are you modding?
Alright, let me just set this up real quick. I gotta set up the new name of the
anyways.
stream. So,
Alright, good.
I'm enjoying this so far. It's pretty interesting, to be honest.
Wait, really? The story?
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna say live ASMR reading of Mein Kampf, right?
Let him read.
The live. The live ASMR reading.
Well, this is why.
Almost to the end of chapter 2, so please bear with me.
So we're going for 30 minutes, so we should go in an hour, and then maybe
What?
just talk shit for the rest of the time.
Alright, just found the page.
Hold on, I'm still setting up the title. The live ASMR reading of Mein Kampf. With
Hey,
Bob
hey, hey,
from
oh
Gaming.
wait, before you leave, dude, be sure to subscribe to me as well, because I'm the one that's doing this whole stream. Please subscribe to Velo18. Oh, thanks.
Who's going?
There's literally nothing. Somebody modding.
With Velo18, so just say Velo18.
Why would you do that? You're ruining the experience for other people. Not cool. You're not just a jerk.
Alright, there we go.
Why?
The title of the stream is the live ASMR reading of Mein Kampf. With Velo18. Oh, we should the live ASMR reading being done by Adolf Hitler himself.
I know, right? Should
Yeah,
have.
like, started off normal and switched to German.
Alright.
That was cool.
Alright, cool. Dude, then when you said that, I love the painting part there. I want to be the painter. No, but not just.
Pro
Alright.
tip for all not the World of War campaign. It's atrocious.
Yeah, life sucks. Okay, we are ready when you are, Velo, to take away.
Got it. Alright. Let's rev up those gas chambers. Such a preference may not perhaps be clearly intelligible to those whoever have never taken the trouble to study the internal conditions that prevailed under the Habsburg monarchy. Among historical studies, universal history was a subject almost exclusively taught in the Austrian schools. For of specific Austrian history, there was only very little. The fate of this state was closely bound up with the existence and development of Germany as a whole. So a division of history into a German history and Austrian history would practically inconceivable. And indeed it was only when the German people came to be divided between two states that this division of German history began to take place. The insignia of a former imperial sovereignty, which was still preserved in Vienna, appeared as magical relics, rather than the visible guarantee of an everlasting bond of the Union. When the Habsburg state crumbled into pieces in 1918 as the Austrian Germans instinctively raised an outcry for union with their German fatherland, that was, excuse me, the voice of a unanimous yearning in the hearts of the whole people for a return to the unforgotten home of their fathers. But such a general yearning could not be explained except by attributing the cause of it to the historical training through which the individual Austrians had passed. Therein lay a spring that never dried up, especially in times of distraction and forgetfulness. Its quiet voice was a reminder of the past, bidding the people to look out beyond the mere welfare of the moment to a new future. The teaching of universal history in what are called the middle schools is still very unsatisfactory. Few teachers realize that the purpose of teaching history is not the memorizing of some dates and facts, that the student is not interested in knowing the exact date of a battle or the birthday of some marshal or other, and not at all, or at least only very insignificantly, interested in knowing when the crown of his fathers was brow of some monarch. These are certainly not looked upon as important matters. To study history means to search that are the causes of those results which appear before our eyes. Historical events. The art of reading and studying consists in remembering the essentials and forgetting what is not essential. Probably my whole future life was determined by the fact that I had a professor of history who understood. As few others understood how to make this viewpoint prevail. In teaching and in examining, the teacher was Dr. Leopold Portisch of the Realschule at Linz. It was the idea of personification of the qualities necessary to a teacher of history in the sense I have mentioned above. In an elderly gentleman with a decisive manner but a kindly heart, he was a very attractive speaker, thus with his own enthusiasm. Even today, I cannot recall without emotion that vulnerable personality whose enthusiastic exposition of history so often made us entirely forget the present and allow ourselves to be transported as if by magic into the past. He penetrated through the dim mist of thousands of years and transformed the historical memory of the dead reality. When we listened to him, we became afire with enthusiasm, and we were sometimes even to tears. What a crying little bitch.
Alright, dude.
Still more
Fucking
fun,
crying.
this professor was not illustrate the parallels from the present. From the past,
Oh
he was
shit.
able to give
He's
a
a Hell
lesson
Regal. God.
for the
Oh my
present.
god. People use Hell Regals, they're
He
so
understood
terrible.
better than any other the everyday problems that were then agitating our minds. The national fever, which we felt in our own small way, was utilized by him as an instrument of our education. In inasmuch as we opened appealed to a national sense of for in that way he maintained order and held our attention much more easily than he could have done any other means. It was because I had such a professor that history became as a natural consequence, but without the conscious convenience of my professor. I then and there became a young rebel, but who have studied German history under such a teacher, and not become an enemy of that state, whose rulers exercised such a disastrous influence in the destinies of the German nation. Finally, how could one remain the faithful subject of the House of Habsburg, whose past history and present conduct proved it to be ready ever, and always to betray the interest of the German people for the sake of paltry personal interests? Did not we see, as youngsters fully realized, that the House of Habsburg and could not have any love for us Germans? What history taught us about the policy followed by the House of Habsburg was corroborated by our own everyday experiences. In the north and south, the poison of foreign races was eating into the and even Vienna was steadily becoming more a non-German city. The imperial house favored the Czechs on every possible occasion. Indeed, it has the hand of the goddess of eternal justice and inexorable retribution that caused the most deadly enemy of Germ, Germanism in Austria, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, to fall by the very bullets which he himself had helped to cast. Working from above downwards, he was the chief patron of the movement to make Austria a Slav state. This was during World War One, by the way. The burdens laid on the shoulders of the German people were enormous, and the sacrifices of money and blood which they had to make were incredibly heavy. Yet anybody who was not quite blind must have seen that it was all in vain. System was morally shielded by the alliance with Germany, thereby the slow extirpation of Germanism in the old Austrian monarchy seemed in some way to be more or less sanctioned by Germany itself. Habsburg hypocrisy, which endeavored outwardly to make the people believe that Austria still remained a German state, increased the feeling of hatred against the imperial house, and at the same time aroused a spirit of rebellion and contempt. But in the German Empire itself, those who were then its rulers saw nothing of what all this meant, as if struck blinded. They stood behind a corpse, and in the very symptoms of decomposition, they believed that they recognized the signs of inevitability and that unhappy alliance between the young German Empire and the illusory Austrian state lay the World War and also of the final collapse. In the subsequent pages of this book, I shall go to the root of the problem. Suffice it to say here that in the very early years of my youth, I came to certain conclusions, which I had never abandoned. Indeed, I became more profoundly convicted of them as the years passed. The dissolution of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire is a preliminary condition for the defense of Germany. Furthermore, that national feeling is by no means identical with dynastic patriotism. Finally, and above all, that the House of Habsburg was destined to bring misfortune to the German nation. As a logical consequence of those convictions, there arose in me a feeling of intense love for the German-Austrian home and a profound hatred for the Austrian state. That kind of historical thinking, which was developed in me through the study of history at school, never left me afterwards. World history became more and more an inexhaustible source for the understanding of contemporary historical events, which means politics. Therefore, I will not learn politics, but let politics teach me. A precious revolutionary in politics, I was no less a precious revolutionary in art. At that time, the provincial capital of Upper Austria had a theater, which, relatively speaking, was not bad. Almost everything was played there. When I was 12 years old, I saw William Tell performed. That was my first experience of the theater. Some months later, I attended the performance of the Lochen ever heard. I was fascinated at once. My youthful enthusiasm for the Bayreuth master knew no limits. Again and again, I was drawn to hear his operas, and today I considered it a great piece of luck, and that these modest productions in the little provincial city prepared the way to make it possible for me to appreciate the better productions later on. But all this to intensify my profound aversion for the career that my father had chosen for me, and this dislike became especially strong as the rough corners of youthful borishness became worn off. A process which, in my case, caused a good deal of pain, I became more and more convinced that I should never be happy as a state official. Fucking edgelord, Jesus. And now that the Realschule recognized and acknowledged my aptitude for drawing, my own resolution became all the stronger. Impressionations and threats had no longer any chance of changing it. I wanted to become a painter, and no power in the world could force me to become a civil servant. The only peculiar feature of the situation, now that as if I grew bigger, I became more and more interested in architecture. I consider this fact as a natural development of my flair for painting, and I rejoiced inwardly. Fear of my artistic interests was
I'd
thus
hate to interrupt,
enlarged.
but who knew Hitler was so edgy, dude?
I know, right? Jesus.
I will not crawling in my skin. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
This is just a gathering of very bad people right now. We're reading you're reading the ASMR reading of Mein Kampf.
There's only two people.
This is probably on par with us playing Cards Against.
Exactly. Alright, continue. I'm just gonna mute myself because I keep laughing every time you say. Every time like you go really German with the accent, I just fucking bust out laughing. Alright, continue.
I might go back to that.
Do it, yes, you have to.
Okay, wait, who's...
Nobody's in the chat, but
Alright, let's continue.
No, it's okay. No, you don't have to mute yourself. It's fine.
I do. Okay. Continue.
When the match is over, I'll just end it.
Alright. Yeah, because we're coming up on an hour right now, and then we're just gonna listen hour 5 minutes to be reading, and then the rest we can, unless the next hour we'll just talk about it.
Yup. Boy, we got some book to read.
Right? It's fucking. Okay, continue.
Okay. But all this helped to intensify my position for the career my father had chosen for me. Oh wait, there it is. Okay. And now that the real Schul had acknowledged my aptitude for drawing, my own resolution became also stronger. Imprecations and threats had no longer any chance of changing it. I wanted to become a painter, and no power in the world could force me to become a civil servant. It's the only peculiar feature of the situation now, that as if I grew bigger and became more and more interested in art, I consider this fact as a natural development of my flair for painting, and I rejoiced inwardly that the sphere of my artistic interest and thus enlarged. I had no notion that one day it would have become otherwise. The question of my career was decided much sooner than I could have expected. When I was in my 13th year, my father was suddenly taken from us. He was still in robust health when a stroke of apoplexy painlessly ended his earthly wanderings and left us all deeply bereaved. His most ardent longing was to be able to help his son to advance in a career and thus save me from the harsh ordeal that he himself had to go through. But it was appeared to him then as if longing we were all in vain. And yet, though he himself was not conscious of it, he had sown the seeds of a future in which neither of us foresaw at that time. At first, nothing changed outwardly. My mother felt it was her duty to continue my education in accordance with my father's wishes, which meant that she would have me to study for the civil service. For my own part, I was even more firmly determined than ever before that under no circumstances would I become an official of that state. The curriculum and teaching methods followed in the middle school were so far removed from my ideals that I became profoundly indifferent. Illness suddenly came to my assistance. Within a few weeks, it decided my future, put an end to the long-standing family conflict. My lungs became so seriously affected that the doctor advised my mother very strongly not under any circumstances allowed me to take up a career in which would necessitate working in an office. He ordered that I should give up attendance at the Realschule for a year at least. What I had secretly desired for such a long and had persistently fought for now became a reality almost at one stroke. Influenced by my illness, my mother agreed that I should leave the Realschule and attend the academy.
The academy.
My fucking throat is dead.
Yeah, we're coming up on an hour anyway right now. Let's see where we at. We are at, yeah, we're at 55 minutes. Want to just end it up here?
Probably the best.
All right, cool. Hold on, let me just unmute myself on this one. All right, that was the first two chapters.
There was one chapter.
Oh, one chapter. Okay, that was the first chapter of Adolf Hitler's autobiography, Mein Kampf. And it's weird saying that on stream too. The first chapter, and honestly, it's pretty interesting. You know, I read it a long time ago, you know, for research purposes, and I don't remember. I barely remember most points, but rehearing it now, like without having to do the whole reading thing, it's a lot more enjoyable. And it's actually really interesting tale, because of the Academy Awards did not pick Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf, the movie.
I would laugh if they did.
Dude, but yeah, like honestly, it's a pretty interesting story he has. Like it's really interesting to hear.
It is, though. It describes his whole entire life. I mean, of course, he was a horrible person, and he did deserve to die.
Yeah.
But this was before he became a horrible person.
Yeah, like imagine if if he didn't do all that shit that he did, people would look at him like as like a JFK kind of guy. Like, oh, he was really cool. Like if he didn't do all that terrible shit. Because like the way he's talking now, like gassing the Jews, pre-Holocaust, he seems like it's like a really he seems like a normal person with like ambitions, but being held down by by Germany itself and his parents
and his fucking father.
Yeah, especially his father, overpowering your father.
Especially his father.
Daddy issues.
But
can Adolf Hitler?
Disclaimer. The disclaimer: we do not promote any Nazism or any pro-Hitler ways. We're just reading a book,
yeah, we're
just
chilling.
to fuck with you guys. Anyways, if you guys really actually want me to read more, let me know. Let me know in my channel. Please subscribe to Velo18 and message me whenever you want this again. Or, if you guys want, I can start reading another book by Karl Marx and Friedrich... What was his name? Friedrich Bagels?
Yes, Friedrich Bagels.
The Communist Manifesto. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go gag myself because my throat is fucking dead.
Alright, be back soon. What do you think of that so far, Nico?
Honestly, I have.
I didn't know you weren't paying attention.
I've been playing
That-
games this whole.
That's on Nico.
Totally. Dude, I'm really bad at multiplayer, but at the same time, there are things that shouldn't be being done.
And what also makes you bad is the hackers.
There aren't that many in Black Ops 2, which is what makes me realize.
This World at War is like hack central.
No, I'm never playing multiplayer on that. I don't care what happens. I'm never playing.
Fucking Sheldon is here.
Is he here?
Wait,
Sheldon is.
Edgelord Sheldon. He wants to hear the edgy life of Adolf Hitler.
Yep. Sheldon, you were. But he's gonna upload this in a little bit, and you're.
Oh, is
gonna
he-
hear
is he in the
whole
chat?
entire thing.
Oh, yep, here we go. Yep, there you are. Hi, how are you? Sheldon, you missed it. We're doing the live ASMR reading of Adolf Hitler's autobiography, Mein Kampf.
I'm going to have literally possible score streaks to get enough.
You missed the edgy part of Adolf Hitler's life. Do you wanna tell him the edgy part of his life, Wheeler? Adolf Hitler's trying to overpower his father.
Oh shit! Shit!
Hey Nico, how about we end your suffering and play some Cards Against Humanity for a Sheldon and laugh at him?
Wait. You know what? Fuck it. I'm kind.
Boys, keep reading.
Boys like, fuck.
What the fuck? Look at the chat.
I know, Sheldon. Hey, Wheeler, do you want to play Cards Against Humanity in front of Sheldon and laugh at him because he's Jewish? Oh my god, it's really. And we're reading.
Don't laugh at him.
I did not think of that with context since we're reading the Mein Kampf.
In context, what?
Job ready.
In context, it's a funny joke.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a dank meme on its own.
It's a dank spicy meme.
A dank spicy meme.
It's a dank spicy juicy meme.
Boy. Who was shooting?
So you want to play Guns Against Humanity, Velo, and end Nico suffering because you want to play World at War?
No, I'm playing Black Ops 2 now.
Wait, but I think Gray might start to watch this thing because she's online.
Why would you do that?
Let's just wait till. I'll message you. How about
Higher ground.
that? Gray, let's see.
I'm gonna read the best part. I'm gonna read the best part in the book.
Right. Let me go to Grime. Let me see. Streaming there.
Dude, the goddamn book and the chapters are so long.
I thought that was like 2 chapters, but it's fucking 1.
He's not gonna make it a quick kids novel. He was in prison when he wrote this. Boy, if you don't get.
Boy, if you don't get.
Boy, if you don't motherfucker.
Boy, if you don't get. I just got bushed.
Boy, if you don't
That's not
get.
cool.
Oh, she gets offline. Amazing.
What
She gets right as soon as I message her. She gets right offline.
Amazing.
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 Gay.
You know what? Yeah, we're just gonna stop the stream here and.
Well, I'm just gonna be live streaming, and we can just talk about it and and fuck shit,
Give me that over stuff.
No, but I want her to see me read it.
Boy, if you don't.
Sheldon taking pictures in Arkansas. He put it on his Insta Twine. It's funny.
Oh my god.
We should roast Sheldon on Instagram. We should roast Sheldon on stream tomorrow. Cause I don't know if I decide to stream tomorrow. Cause these streams have continuance. Tomorrow is not gonna have a continuance of today, which is Wednesday. I'm not gonna be streaming Wednesday, aka today. So, I will. Okay, you know, fuck. No, fuck. Okay, Velo, what time? What day is it over there?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, it is Wednesday now. And this stream. What the fuck? This stream started on Wednesday and on Tuesday. it's not going to be continuance when I live stream again on Wednesday, because Wednesday's an off day for me when I stream. It's kind of like a middle of the day, whatever the fuck. So Thursday is going to be the real stream of a continuance of this Tuesday stream. And tomorrow, if we stream, we should just roast Sheldon on stream. Want to do that? Sounds like a great plan. Sheldon stops being our friend. Roast him on stream, dude. He roasts himself by existing. Cause Sheldon can't take a goddamn joke. Hey! Hey! we're gonna roast your pictures from Arkansas and all the other trips you've taken. Do you salt this gun? I'm just kidding.
Ballista's better.
Yeah, no, I like the Ballista. It kind of reminds me of the Intervention in a way with Blue Tiger camera.
Did you just say with a terrible camo?
It reminds me of the Intervention with the blue camo, with the Blue Tiger camo.
Hi, why?
You okay?
No, I'm having this.
Sheldon, so you don't have a problem with that, right, Sheldon? Me, Nico, and Vila roasting you on stream tomorrow?
Why are you laying there? Not done.
Sheldon says, I'll maybe be home tomorrow. Well, your tomorrow is my day. Yeah.
You're not knifing me. Dash out of here. You're
So
not
Sheldon, you're getting roasted on stream tomorrow, okay? Me and Vila already agreed to a Honeyco. I'm Vila.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're roasting on stream tomorrow. Leave stream! Dude, what's he gonna so what's fucking with him, man, dude? He can't take a goddamn joke for the life of him. He just gets fucking, it starts crying like a baby instantly, like a little bitch.
I know.
Which we're trying to make a man out of him. We're trying to make a man out of you, Sheldon. To take jokes and take criticism. We have opinions about things like games, and you can't take that criticism that we have. And
you call us annoying.
It's most ironic too, because he said that he doesn't give a fuck about what anyone says about the division because he likes it, but he gives so much of a fuck when we talk shit about it and make jokes about it.
Ooh, I messed up. Oops. Good shot and I missed. Rip.
That's a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
Graham is back online again.
At least he's on idle now.
Why? Why?
I'm willing to burn a bridge, Sheldon. If you don't, this guy's the hell illegal. Oh, all right. This is the end of the best stream in the universe. I'm fucking awesome. The best streamer on YouTube. See, don't care. There you go. Okay, yeah. Cause see, like, I remember you, Sheldon. I remember you telling me, "Oh, I don't give a fuck about anybody thinks of the division. I don't give a fuck about that. What you guys think." But you care so much when me and Vila make jokes about it.
Oh, why are there so many people?
Is that kind of hypocritical, Vila?
It is really, though, to be honest. But you know what? We're gonna talk about this later.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this later.
Sheldon already has enough daddy issues.
I know he does. But anyways, so yeah, that was the ASMR reading of Mein
Why
Kampf
are you there?
by Adolf
Why do you have
Hitler. That is
Stop.
my long lost father.
Dude, that's mine.
No, he's my uncle.
Dude, my uncle works at Sega. He's gonna get you a PS4 console band.
So bad.
Mm-hmm.
No, remember Mudaha's thing on his Steam name. It's dad works at Sega.
Yeah.
he's
Hold on, I gotta take my mic up. I gotta take my mic up.
But anyways, so yeah, that was my live reading of Mein Kampf. If you ever want to know more, or if you want me to read more, let me know by subscribing to me. And
but
also,
mostly subscribe to me though, because I can need to use the subscribers. I'm poor.
that's what I was about to say.
Fuck you.
I was the one that came up with this idea.
That's true. Okay. So all credit goes to Velo18.
That's your gamer tag.
All credit goes to Velo. Check out his channel. It'll be in the description somewhere. Nico's channel will be in the description somewhere as well because he somehow joined us. He woke from his eternal sleep to join on my stream. That's how great it is, right?
He woke up from his hibernation.
Exactly.
Anyways.
And yeah, join us Thursday or maybe even later today, Wednesday for me, cause you know I got shit to do.
More for more reading. The Communist Manifesto or Mein Kampf.
We should continue Mein Kampf because Mein Kampf's funny.
Okay, fine. Mein Kampf, fine.
Alright, we'll see you guys on the next one, and yeah, see ya.
Oh.